So yesterday we looked at how to create a provider block for Terraform. So can you highlight the first line, 3 lines? Yeah, so we were writing a provider block yesterday, just telling that which cloud we want to connect and which data center we want to use. In our classes, we'll be by default using the US East 1 region because all our automation is done in that way. If you want to change it to AP South 1 or US West 2 or EU West 1 or West 2, anything is okay, fine. We can do that experiments along the way. Otherwise, we'll try to stick on to the US East 1. This provider block tells you exactly what cloud you are trying to connect because Terraform supports multiple clouds. You can work on any cloud and create your resources by writing a configuration file. That is HashiCorp configuration language, which is nothing but HCL, which is something similar to a JSON. If you look at the syntax, right, on each line, if there is a comma in the end, that is a JSON. Otherwise, the way it is written, the way it is, you call it as a declarative language. What declarative language means? You are writing, you are declaring that, I want this particular resource in my cloud, wherever, whichever cloud that you are working on. The first most important block is your provider block, where you say which cloud you are working on, what is the region. Okay. Is it clear?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Now we are moving on to the data block, line number 5, 6, and 7. Here, what we are saying is we want to go to default VPC and use that default VPC. Rahul, if you are connected to your AWS console, can you quickly go to AWS console and show me your console? So meantime, while Rahul is logging in, if you have not logged into AWS console, please log into AWS console first.
Yeah.
Keep it parallel.
Mhm.
And make sure you save these credentials so that you don't have to type it every time. Can you save that? Okay. Now, what you do is, yeah, just make sure you are in the EOS East 1 region on the right hand side on your AWS console. Yeah, that also. Yeah, otherwise you can see on the, yeah, that one. Yeah, you can just make sure that is EOS East 1. Sometimes people log into AWS console and they are surprised to see there are no resources or it is not working as expected because sometimes it selects a different region than your default one. Okay. Now go to click on VPC. Your VPC is VPC. Yeah. So you see one VPC which is available, that is a default VPC. Yeah, can you just cross verify the IP address? The CIDR range. It will be, yeah, just, yeah, 172.31.00/16. That is your default VPC across all the regions. If you go to any other region also, you will see either the same one or a similar one. Can you choose a different region? Automatically it will take you to the default VPC because you were in the VPC section. It will take you to the VPC section. It will load the default VPC. Default VPC is something which AWS creates for you and make it available because whenever you want to create any resource, that will be in the default VPC. If you are not ready to create a custom VPC. Any doubts so far?
No,
Rahul,
sir.
Divya?
No.
Okay. Now you can go back to North Virginia. Okay. You if you want to select other region also, you feel free to do it.
I think the side range would be the same across like 170 to 31.
Can you speak clearly, Rahul?
So the cider region, I think it would be the same. Like this is
Yeah,
the same.
cider is the same. Yeah. Okay. Can you go back to the US East one?
Yeah, I'm at this US history.
Okay. Now a question is, if you want to select your default VPC and create some resources, how do you do it from console?
So like if I want to create a resource, then like while creating it, like suppose for example EC2 instance. So there I have the option to choose like which VPC I want to choose. Say,
Ex- Exactly. So now you don't have to really select a VPC from here in order to create your instances for default VPC. What you do is you go to EC2, right? Just in the search bar, type EC2 and select EC2. Now select launch instances. What happens is the console by default provides you the network settings. Yeah, can you scroll little up? Correct. If you see that
yes.
the network that VPC it has selected as the default VPC. So that is how your EC2 instance creation from console will work. Whereas if you do it from Terraform or AWS CLI, you need to make sure that you select the particular VPC and proceed with your instance creation. If we just go back now to GItBash, uh, yeah. So what you're trying to do on line number 5, 6, 7 is you're telling the Terraform code to refer to the default VPC. You are fetching the data of the default VPC and keeping that information over here. Is it clear?
So what we are doing here is we are changing one of the configurations or of the EC2 instance. But creating, should we do it in the EC2 console, or like we can do it from the Terraform file?
Yeah. From the Terraform file itself, we can do that is using the resource block.
Okay,
Data
but
block
huh,
is to fetch the information from the existing resource.
okay.
Okay. The next line number 10, 11, 12, and 13, right? We are selecting the subnet using the default VPC. If you see line number 11, we are just saying select the subnet. On line number 12, we are saying what is the VPC ID. VPC ID, line number 12 is referring to line number 6 and 7, or line number simply 6. Can you read out what is there in the VPC ID equals line number 12? Can you just read out data dot?
AWS VPC dot default dot ID.
Yeah. So data dot AWS underscore VPC dot default dot ID, which is nothing but on line number 6. Can you just highlight?
This is the default one.
Yeah, data is object, dot AWS underscore VPC is a name, the resource, and default is a resource name. What exactly we are doing at line number 12?
So where did you get the ID? That like this will be
I-
coming from.
ID will be coming from AWS SDK. So
Yeah.
it will take the ID from the SDK. So if you go back to your console quickly, see
Is
here
this
VPC ID comes by default because the console fetches the information from SDK again. So this also uses SDK internally, but the only thing is UI takes care of fetching the information and putting it for you. But when you are doing it from the command line, you are supposed to make sure that information is fetched by writing the code. So here, little bit of code or writing the code is very important. Little bit of understanding how to do it. Now come back to your GitBash. So, and what you're saying is The availability zone is US East 1A. You can go back to your VPC once again. You can go to VPC section. Right click and open. Right click and new tab.
Okay.
Seven, you should also be doing at the same time while you are listening to the conversation.
Yes, sir.
I have another question.
Sure.
So the provider block, we should, I mean, the provider block, we should write it after creating the EC2 instance, right?
No.
This is before
Provider block is the first one. At any, I
first
mean,
one.
there is no order is required, but if you're writing it in a single file, just make sure put the provider block first.
First, okay.
So you have to initiate a connection, right? First.
Right. We have to tell in
Which
which region we want our EC2 instance and yeah, all the other details.
now go back to your console. Click on VPC or click on the subnets on the left hand side. Left hand side, there is a second option, subnets. Yeah, here you can see scroll right, scroll to the right. You can see that subnets are created for different regions. /20, 64, 16, 80, 32, like that, right? I mean the cider varies. Yeah, if you can see the availability zone, 1A, 1B, 1C, 1D. So that is again distributed within the particular region. There are multiple availability zones. What is the purpose of availability zone? Anybody?
I guess these are the like different data center within the US East one, like in the single region.
Yeah,
Just like
basically to ensure the resources that we deploy are highly available. It is like it will make you fail over, or it will make you replicate your services across different data centers, so that if something goes wrong, some natural calamity or maybe some other bomb threat or something, or maybe some other outage, right? Power outage. In that case, your system or your resource may not be available immediately or for some time at least. So in that case, in order to make sure it is highly available, we use availability zone concept, that is minimum of 2 at least. In some regions, they'll have 3, 4, 5, 6, up to 6, I guess. So minimum 3 to 4 is by default available.
so these are the fixed one, right? Like for this availability. So for this reason, like there are four easy.
Yeah, 4 is yes. Any questions on the availability zone side? Okay, I assume no questions. We'll definitely have a look at this AZ concept. We simply call it as AZ, availability zone. That talks about highly available architecture. So when what we are going with cloud is because there is a there is a way you can make it highly available. Highly available means the system is always accessible, the resources are always accessible, always available. There is no downtime. That's what it means. Okay, come back to your GitBash. Now you can see that you can correlate line number 13 to the availability zone that you have seen. So it is going to take the availability zone which is matching with 1A and the VPC ID, particular VPC ID that you fetch from line number 6. If you simply go down now, we are generating the SSH key from command line instead of from the console. Do you remember creating private key from your console
Yeah,
while you were creating the EC2 instance?
correct,
If you
correct.
go back to console once again and quickly show how you created your private key, go to instances one tab before, yeah, just go down.
I think it will be somewhat.
No, I think you're scrolling a little faster. Yeah, keypad.
This one.
Yeah. So you may see a key pair or you may have to create a new key pair. Okay. See, if you closely look at it, what is a key pair type? What is the format that you want to save? Yeah. Can you click on the create new key pair once again? Yeah. So you have to give a key pair name, what is the type, and what is the file format. Exactly the same thing you will do it, but in multiple steps.
So the every resource here in AWS has a different key pair, or like if we are trying to create some other resource, then I have to create a new key pair for that. Like,
No, it's up to you. It's up to you. Say some organizations maintain multiple keys for multiple environments. Some organizations maintain a single key for all the environments. It is up to you, even if you're creating 10 different EC2 instances. If you want to use one single key, that is up to you.
Yeah.
There is no problem with respect to sharing the key within your team members or within different resources. Now you can go back to your GitBash. So now you see resource TLS underscore private key, algorithm is RSA bit is 2048. So you don't need to remember or mug up line number 17, 18, and 19. You just need to understand how it is working. Can you just highlight line number 17 to 25? 17 to 25. So what you're doing from line number 70 to 25 is you're creating a private key and you are creating on line number 22 you are creating a local file for the private key. That the name of the file will be .pem, your key name .pem, and the content will be, if you see line number 17, resource TLS underscore private key. The same thing we are calling it in the content, line number 24. If you see line number 24 and 17, right, it is exactly the same.
So this is TLS private key dot SSH key. The same thing, and this would be the SDK command, private key
Pem
command.
is the module or the method that is there in the private key module.
Hmm.
It is simply an attribute that you're calling to copy the content from the private key. Is it clear? Okay. On line number 27, 28, and 29, what you're doing is you're creating a resource in AWS Cloud that is nothing but your public key. 27, 28, and 29. Can you highlight 27, 28, and 29? Yeah. You are actually creating the another key that is nothing but your public key that you are keeping it in the AWS account. If you see line number 29, equals TLS underscore private key dot SSS underscore key dot public. SSS underscore key is the name of the key, and then you're getting the attribute public key underscore open SSH. That is also a built-in attribute in the private key. So that is how you fetch the information of your public key. It may be slightly confusing or it may take little time to understand, but you have to make sure you read it multiple times or maybe listen to the same recording 2-3 times so that you understand.
So these commands, like these keywords are the fixed one. Like if I write the resource local file, then it will create a local file, and that too with the name of mykey.pem. The
Exactly. Exactly. That's a good understanding. So the second column is always related to the Terraform. The third is related to your own way. It is your own variable. If you say deployer, it is okay. If you say Rahul, it is okay. Similarly, line number 22 also, you can say my key, my private key, anything you can do it. The third variable, third attribute.
So what this would be like, if I create a local file, then this private key, like this would be the file name of it, like
Yeah.
mykey.pem.
File
And
name will be line number 23, whereas that is just a reference. Private key, private underscore key, right? On line number 20. That is just a reference for your resource that you are creating.
Okay, got it.
So can you just quickly change private key on line number 22? 22 to Rahul underscore key. Rahul underscore key. And tell me where and all you need to make a change.
So this would be there into so it was a private key, like, so I think this is a private key, but this is the fixed keyword, right?
That's a fixed keyword. Line number 24 is a fixed keyword. Wherever you are calling local underscore file dot Rahul key, you have to change it. Is there any other local file, local underscore file? No.
That I'm searching it. Okay, let me go.
There. You don't have to really modify anything. Can you similarly change SSH underscore key on line number? Just go up. Can you change SSH underscore key to um, test underscore key, line number 17? Yeah. Just change this to test underscore key. Yeah, escape. Now,
Line number 24.
line number 24. Yeah, that's correct. Line number 24.
Got it.
There you have to change test underscore key because you are referring to TLS underscore private key attribute or the object. Wherever you have a TLS underscore private underscore key, there you have to just make a change. Accordingly, if you try to understand each and every line, right, you will have a better picture, better clarity.
Okay.
Any questions so far?
So just one thing. So to create a resource, like whatever the things which are required, like I do have, I should be having a what region should be there and what VPC I should be having, subnet, then this public and private keys, then the security group, like whatever the things are required for the EC2 creation, that I need to like put here.
Exactly. The reason why we are creating the private key here is we are not sure whether the key is already available and we don't want to do anything from the AWS console. We want everything to be done just by Terraform instead of we going and doing something on the AWS console, hovering your mouse or clicking on something, trying to find out the IP address or CIDR range. Instead of that, we are trying to do everything from Terraform. You don't have to really worry about logging into AWS console and doing something. As long as you have the public key and private key, sorry, access key and secret key with you for the IAM user. Clear? Do you repeat?
Yeah.
7.
So, sorry, sir. Yes, but I'll have to, I'll have to go through the recording again because I missed, the first part of this.
Okay, I
But you
have.
can leave it to me. Yeah.
Sure, sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Now I'm going to explain from line number 33. Can you highlight from line number 33? Yeah, 33 to, yeah, VPC 80, that is more than enough. So here, what we are doing is we are creating a security group. Resource means you're creating a resource. Especially if it is starting with AWS underscore something, right? That means it is a AWS resource that is on the AWS cloud, which is getting created. On line number 22, you're creating a local file that is not your AWS resource. That also you just need to understand. That is a local file that you are creating that will be saved in your local machine. Okay. Here, name of the VPC is 34. Description is again 35, not important. The VPC ID on line number 36 is important. You are saying data.aws underscore VPC dot default dot ID. If you remember the subnet block, exactly we are calling the same thing. If you just scroll up and then click on the subnet block. Yeah. So VPC ID equals line number 12, right? How you are getting data dot aws dot underscore VPC dot default dot ID. That is nothing but your VPC that you are trying to fetch using data block on line number 6. Okay, clear? Okay, come down. Now you have to define your incoming traffic and outgoing traffic. Incoming traffic is called ingress. From port and to port is the range of port numbers. Here you are saying only port number 22 is allowed. If we say -1, that means it is all the ports. Just come down. I think it should be 00 or -1. In the egress, you will see that. Yeah, it is 00. It should not be -1. It should be 00. From port and to port, if you make it 0, all the ports will be giving access to the outsiders. All the ports will be allowed to access. If you see the protocol, we are restricting the protocol on line number 41 to TCP. If you want to give all the protocols to be accessed, it will be -1, like line number 48. Okay, the CIDR block is all about what traffic can come inside from the internet. When you say 0000/0, that means any traffic from anywhere can come into this particular VPC. Okay. Any doubts, any clarity?
No.
Okay, you can come down to the last section. Here, if you look at it, AMI ID is something we have to copy and paste it here. We can also use data block to fetch the EMI ID for Amazon Linux to AMI. That probably we'll do it in the next class, but for now we can go with the hard-coded value. Any questions, anyone? Okay. Any questions, anyone?
No questions.
Okay. On line number 57, 56, 57, 58, if somebody can quickly explain what it is.
So the first line is,
Yeah, go ahead.
yeah, please go ahead. Please. Go.
So I think this is like what type of instance that we want to create and in which subnet we want to create. And
Line
this is
58, line number 58, if you can explain me what it is.
security group is something like actually I don't not able to recall, but something which is related to like
Firewall rule.
yeah, firewall.
So why there is a square bracket?
So there can be a multiple security group associated, like two group.
Your answer is correct, but can you tell me exactly what it means? Square bracket means.
Yeah, this sentence I don't know.
It is a list.
Okay.
List. If you just leave it with the double quotes, it will fail. It has to be with the square bracket because it is something similar to Python. If you are defining a list, it has to be enclosed with square brackets.
So if I want to put another security group, then a comma separated thing will work.
Exactly.
So is it because an instance can belong to multiple security group? It's a list.
The instance can have multiple security groups.
Okay.
So most of the people will end up having some problems while writing the security group ID because they'll end up putting a double quotes or they'll put a sj underscore sg dot name. It has to be sg dot id again. So couple of things you have to make sure, that is it is a list and it should be the ID, not the name. Okay. Last thing is what key that you are attaching. Line number 60. Key name equals AWS underscore key underscore pair dot deployer dot key name. Okay. With this explanation, you can just save this file and run your /deployer.sh if you don't have any other questions. Last block is just to get the IP address from the instance that you are creating.
Actually, I made some changes like test underscore key. So better to like
-W.
don't save this file because I think the previous one was would be the correct one.
No. Whatever you changed is it's this also correct.
Okay. Let me check. Like this is the Rahul underscore key, and there was one block which was at this.
Is there a local file?
Okay, this is the keyboard only.
Yeah. Even if there is a change, we'll try to fix it. It's okay. You can just run dot.
So should we running this deploy.sh?
Yes.
One like deploy.sh. It will be working.
Dot slash. That means from the current directory, you are trying to run the script. So we'll wait for the script to complete. It'll initialize a plugin for you and required connections with AWS console or AWS account, and it'll create resources for you. And in the end, it'll give you the IP address of the EC2 instance. Probably this one, it'll give
This is muting me like by default.
Sorry, Rahul, what was that?
So I think this is muting the Skype is already like auto
I
muting.
muted it because there was a lot of noise.
I thought like this is muting me like by like automatically.
Okay. No, I muted you just because there was a lot of noise. Okay, now the Terraform configuration is valid. Initialization done first, and then Terraform validation is done, and it is showing you the Terraform plan right now. It will probably show you 3 to 4 resources are getting created, and then it will do apply. Mostly, you shouldn't have any problem. Let's see.
So where this the background process is running like
on your GitBash.
okay.
So GitBash is your the all in all interface.
So in
Say
case of any issue, like if I just want to debug, then see like what failed, like it will appear here or like.
it'll appear here only. Yeah.
So will the stages go like sequentially? First initialize, then validate, plan, then apply?
Yeah, exactly. That's why we have put them in the sequence, and it'll go one after the other.
One after the other. Okay.
I'm not sure why the plan is waiting for a long time. There may be some connection issue. Let's wait for it. Can you just press enter once again?
Yeah, nothing is working.
Okay.
Check console, like if it got created.
You can go to console and see. I don't think the instance is getting created.
So this is the older instance which is already stopped.
Yes. I guess probably something is stuck. Let's wait for it. I'll just quickly stop sharing. Stop the recording.